Welcome back to our weekly show, That's Entertainment, where we look at all the great news that happened last week, this week. Just diving quickly into the election status. Joe Biden's nomination has been announced, and Trump is now in the process of suing in the key swing states of Pennsylvania and I believe Michigan. We're going to be having probably quite a long, dirty fight up until the handover in January. Trump may indeed concede along the way. But looking at Trump, I think that's probably unlikely. I think it will be a fight all the way to the finish line. If everyone remembers back to the days of Gore versus Bush, we had a similar scenario where there was a standoff on the election around the swing state of Florida. So it just really depends on if Trump can put a case together around or evidence of there being fraud in these key swing states. Who knows? But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of impact this back and forth that's obviously going to happen now over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks if Trump doesn't concede in the markets and in investor confidence. And now catching up with all the news last week, this week, Lionsgate lays off 15% of its staff. That's a total of about 450 people across its film group employees. The reports are this was due to both the current coronavirus pandemic accelerating the need for a streamlining of the film group and the shift to streaming viewership. Lionsgate's group CEO Joe Drake told analysts last week that the windows will continue to evolve and we'll just see a ton of opportunity moving forward in our business, whether it is leading with theatrical, whether it's theatrical and PVOD combined, or whether you go direct to consumer or other ways of exploiting. The values are there for us to go and monetize. All this during the same week that Lionsgate revealed their premium cable and streaming channel Starz added a further 1.8 million new subscribers in the US and 2.3 million overseas, giving them a total of 9.2 million subscribers in the States and 13.7 million internationally. So Lionsgate is a mini major, verging on the majors now, and this is a very interesting move for them to be quite so gung-ho at this mid-tier level within the market. If they are moving so aggressively into this space, it does sound like they're making the HR adjustments into their business to take on the staff that are required to run a large international content platform like Starz. Very interesting, and I think we'll see more of the studios begin to flip this way across the board, whether they be independents like Lionsgate or the majors, as we've been seeing with Disney. In other news, the Tokyo International Film Festival this week had filmmakers acknowledging the growing importance of streaming platforms, both as financiers for independent movies and as a way of expanding a film's audience. Director Isao Yukisada's theatre A Love Story saw its major theatrical release in Japan cancelled at the last minute, only for the film to subsequently open in 20 art house venues there, while it also debuted globally on Amazon. He told the festival, "I realized people in New York had seen it and written reviews of it. This is one of the ways for Japanese films to reach a wider audience." So, could the ongoing recovery of film distribution in Japan show us all what to expect after Corona? It's a country where indie titles are benefiting from the growth in streaming services, but also where the box office records are being broken by the blockbuster success of anime released Demon Slayer, itself a continuation of a hugely popular TV franchise. The message continues to be from the market that the distinctions between the big and small screen are continuing to crumble. If we're seeing this in Japan and we're seeing this in the US, we'll also be seeing it in Europe in probably a more fragmented way. And in the last section, will the expanding range of routes to market mean a film will be able to succeed by finding the flexible release strategy best suited to it? Last week, Universal's deal with AMC Cinemas will see Croods 2 debut in the US for Thanksgiving weekend. And this newly agreed 17-day theatrical window means it'll be available on video on demand for Christmas. The other major chains are also coming around to the idea of flexible dating. This week, Cinemark's CEOs acknowledged the importance of a dynamic theatrical windows for smaller and mid-range films, and also said he was open to playing films produced for streaming platforms on the big screen. So we're seeing a mix of content and we're seeing a mix of approaches towards film, and this idea that the blanket strategy of a film only being available for release on VOD 3 months after the cinematic release is definitely sounding like it's over now. I do like the idea of films being gauged as how appropriate they are for a cinema audience and that affecting the window. So I do see like good independent movies still holding a theatrical window for the length of time that we've seen in the past. But with everything else, I think it's going to be very, very flexible. Continuing on, but it seems the studio's biggest releases will still need a global theatrical opening in order to maximize their profit. With so many US and European cinemas either closed or facing limited audience capacities, it came as no surprise to see Disney pull both Death of the Nile and Free Guy from their planned December release dates. So the big question is, will Wonder Woman 1984 follow? If so, what will that mean for the future of multiplexes across the globe? At a time when AMC cinemas have said their existing cash resources would largely be depleted by the end of 2020 or early 2021. The pressure is on, and we'll have to see how the election will impact on the COVID news. My feeling is that there will probably be a relaxation of COVID laws or COVID lockdowns across America. That's what I'm predicting, again, because I'm basing this off the death rate that I've been following versus the infection rate. And I think with America taking the lead, Europe will quickly follow. And that, I think, is something to hopefully look forward to with both this pandemic and also its impact on the business of film. That's all for this week for this show, and we'll be back next week with all the interesting news from this week, last week. Thank you, and that's entertainment.